And on today's show, why a QLAC may be a Roth IRA play. Part 3 of this week's series on advanced retirement strategies with nationally recognized retirement expert, author, platform speaker, and adjunct professor at the American College, Curtis Cloak. Hi everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and contributing author to InsMark, Life Specs, and Backroom Technician. Let's get down to business. Welcome to the show, Curtis.
Thank you, Steve. Good to be here.
Well, Curtis, I'm telling you, we're probably blowing the minds of our advisor audience for the last 2 days. We're really loading up a lot of new material for people. They're just now coming into the engagement. We almost got used to DIAs a couple months ago when you were here before. Now we're adding this QLAC idea that only uses DIAs. So it's really important for our advisors to understand this is a game changer. You could go back to your existing retirement models and you may have to make some adjustments.
Absolutely. It is a game changer, and I think it's going to force us to understand what is a QLAC, what does it allow, and what are the strategies, concepts, and benefits for our clients to be utilized with it. Some of that's going to be how are the products going to be framed out once these come to market.
Now, yesterday in our second segment, we talked about a lot of these issues of how we use skillfully bracket bumping to convert qualified monies into our Roths. And in the second segment today, we're going to talk about, hey, could the QLAC play with the Roth? That could be a tandem. But I want you to walk me through this basic idea, what you call hybrid swipe. Actually, SWIP. Sorry, no E.
So the hybrid SWIP, so let's define SWIP. SWIP stands for the generic systematic withdrawal income plan. So, we've been doing in this country systematic withdrawal income plans forever. It's predominantly the way retirement planning has been done in the country for years and years. And so there are three different strategies. The SWIP strategy would be one, the bucket strategy would be two, force strategy would be three. Now, I'm not saying that's it. I'm saying those are the three most basic strategies for building retirement.
Now, you had this, I've seen your Thrive University. You talk about the SWIP strategy before, but now you had to make a little bit of alterations with the new QLAC.
Yeah, so let's say we have a client that says, I want to control my money and I want to be able to manage those dollars in a traditional fashion. I guess I am a little bit worried, though. What if I, in fact, do live past age 85? What if I, and maybe it's not just me. Maybe I'm more worried about my spouse because maybe the longevity pool genes aren't in my family history, but they are my spouse's. And since this is our money and not just my money, we want a plan that says it's okay for me to pass on, it's okay for us to manage our dough, but just in case that last surviving spouse survives me by a number of years, how can I position my plan to give me permission to manage my dollars in a way that I have permission to have suitable and safe withdrawal rates according to my money, but just in case I have one of us live too long, how can I build a floor of protection at a certain point in time that take the risk of longevity risk off the table, where it also takes the pressure on that portfolio with my withdrawal rate and the plan that I deliver takes the risk that it'll run out because I don't have to go too
Curtis,
far.
I'm just curious, from your point of view, what is the traditional withdrawal rate? Is it 4% now right now in traditional planning?
That's going to depend a lot on the specifications of the client, their ages, when they're retiring, how long they're going to live, what their asset mix class is, how many dollars they've saved, what their pension, Social Security, and other asset incomes producing assets might be. But I'm going to answer that question generically. It used to be the theory of 4%, and that was talked about for a very long time. And today, if you look at some of the best minds in the industry, and you read some of the most noted publications out there, like New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and others, there's a debate between the academics about is it 2.3, is it 2.5, is it 3%, but it's not 4. But there's a recent study that was released by Wells Fargo where they asked a random number of people that they called, what do you think is a safe withdrawal rate? And this is pretty consistent with other studies like it that I've seen. And the response by the general population is 10%. They have a perception that they can that it's okay to take a 10% distribution on their portfolio.
I can't believe that is public. Consumers actually think that.
Consumers think that.
Well, walk me through this real quickly here before we go to the break.
So we're talking about how to maximize income using the minimum sum of assets to accomplish the goals. And this example represents a 60-year-old going to retire at 65, and we're working on a strategy. So, here we are, clear out to the end of 60, and of course, in this case, 66 is our full retirement age of Social Security, and might be some Social Security plays in here. But what you're going to see here is this is demonstrating income that's being played out, but we put a backstop of protection on the safe withdrawal rate of the traditional model systematic withdrawal income plan, and we finance, and it'd be better if we do it before 60, but we're illustrating 60. If we buy the QLAC at 60 with the qualified dollars that are allowed, which is 25% of all the pre-tax not to exceed $125,000, can do it for me, can do it for my spouse, we buy these qualified dollars, the discount of buying them here versus the value of what they're going to be worth here will chasm a lot of risk in terms of not outliving this portfolio. So now I've taken a lot of pressure off the portfolio to sustain past a certain period of time. And by the way, this just happens to be the maximum delay period. I could do it at 80, I could do it at 75. By the way, I can do joint life. By the way, I can do a COLA, and I can do cash installment refunds. So if I'm worried that, well, maybe what if I don't make it to 85? Do I lose my money? Well, no. If you position this correctly, you can at least protect your deposits by virtue of an installment cash refund.
And of course, if you front end the QLAC to age 80 or age 75, you're just giving an opportunity for the security side of your portfolio to maybe perform at that 3% or 4% number.
Right. So this is representing an inflation-adjusted, guaranteed, could be single, could be joint lifetime income stream by which you can't destroy no matter how hard you try, and you can't outlive no matter which spouse lives the longest. So we like to say it lasts till breath do part. So that's what a QLAC is going to do.
We come back from the break. We're going to talk about how to marry this whole technology of QLACs with Curtis's bracket bumping Roth idea. We'll be right back. It's not how much money you make for your clients, it's how much money they get to keep, especially in retirement. But retirement income could cause Social Security benefits to be taxed. One tax advantage alternative is life insurance designed as a non-modified endowment contract that can generate tax-free income without taxing Social Security benefits. These contracts offer differing funding options depending upon your client's risk tolerance. For more information on how life insurance can be part of your retirement planning, just email me at steve@downtobusiness.tv. Brought to you by Ash Brokerage, the practice enhancement company. Well, welcome back to the second segment. Of course, I'm with Curtis Cloak, a retirement aficionado extraordinaire, I have to say, Curtis. Curtis, let's talk about a little bit about, we've talked about bracket bumping, and I'm all over that. If we have to pay it, we might as well maximize it and then start to convert our qualified to our Roth IRA. I get that. But we have to do a little forecasting, don't we? We have to kind of go here and talk about a little bit of futuristic thinking before we actually walk into this and create and design a plan like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think you need to be looking 10 years at minimum, 5 to 10 years, but ideally 10 years at least. We're forecasting these things 20 years out for clients that'll actually engage the conversation. A little difficult to get, a high volume of clients interested 20 years out. A fair amount at 10 years, and certainly there's plenty at 5. Unfortunately, too many people, they call you up 30, 60 days before they're going to retire, and some even call you up after they've retired because they don't want to be derailed on anything that they've played as a movie in their mind about what they want to do, and now you got to figure out what to tell them. So, but the bottom line is, if these strategies you can't do, you'd be luck of the draw if you could actually implement them with no previous forecasting. So, if you're going to identify the opportunity to use the bracket bumping strategy in combination with a Social Security bridge strategy. And the purpose of that is to optimize Social Security with any delay opportunities and restricted filings, at the same time using a very low, artificially low tax bracket bumping to convert traditional pre-tax dollars in bracket, not with enough to be able to do that each and every year from the day you retire before 70 and a half, so that you can maximize the use of whatever bracket that you would normally be in before tipping over to the bracket that you don't want to be in, and take advantage and not waste that bracket by getting as much pre-tax over to the Roth as possible. Now, it may be that you can only get so much of your pre-tax over there, and it may be that you have so much pre-tax qualified dollars, even when you maximize those opportunities, that the RMDs, especially now that you've optimized and increased your Social Security, is going to give you way more income than you need, but you have to take that RMD, which creates maybe a tax inefficiency. So you may have been better off trying to forecast what that bracket bumping opportunity is. You need more than one class of money. You really need some non-qualified money in combination with pre-tax money to make this thing fly.
Can I stop you on that one point? This is a huge point because a lot of our clients that we see are almost exclusively in qualified plans. And they have their extra money, whatever it is really emergency 911, 90 days of cash. So we really don't see a lot of this, but you really recommend having two different sources of money, qualified and non-qualified. And if we have younger advisors watching this, this is a huge issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think the more classes of money you have and the more you can even the play of those classes, the more tax control that you get. So obviously take advantage of all the pre-tax when your brackets are, when the discount of the contributions is reasonably to do it. And obviously, you may be in business and you may have some years, not so good years, or maybe good years, but you have some tax deductions where the taxes are very low. In those years, you may want to pivot to Roth contributions, whether it be in your 401k plan or be it traditional Roth IRAs. But you want to be constantly taking advantage of those opportunities. But in addition to that, you should have some non-qualified investments. Now that can come in a variety of different shapes and sizes. Saving your own dollars. It could be buying real estate and selling it. Now you've got a chunk of dough that from the sale of those properties. Maybe you sold a small business and you've paid your taxes. Now you're sitting on a surplus of cash. Maybe it's in a brokerage account. But we're really talking about those clients that have more than one class of assets, not just all pre-tax. Then there may be an opportunity to, first of all, do this bracket bump, this bridge, as Social Security bridge we talked about. But if a QLAC play also will prove to be the right thing to do, before I actually implement those bracket bumps, because my QLAC purchases that I'm allowed to make are 25% of all my pre-tax, not to exceed 125, I want to be sure that I forecasted this out before I've actually moved my pre-tax to Roth, because I'll shrink the amount of my pre-tax for that calculation, and I may limit how much of the QLAC I can buy. So I'm saying that you can play this thing together, but it requires a bit of forecasting in advance of retirement for you to determine, is a QLAC a decision that needs to be made before you're doing the Social Security delay and the bracket bumping bridge with some non-qual
So if I know I'm going to
dollars.
be using this in the future, way out, 75, 80, 85, I need to accommodate that thinking today so that I can make my bracket bumping and conversions to Roth work correctly. That scared me when you said you might inadvertently, reduce your ability to use this and use the RMDs well, and it could actually complicate it because you've moved everything over to the Roth already too fast.
Yeah, I think that people are thinking maybe just before I turn 70 and a half, I'll make a decision on QLAC. But if you're taking advantage of these strategies, well, depending on how much, maybe you've still got enough pre-tax that 25% is still 125. But if it shrinks that number because of the amount you put in the Roth, then now you're not able to do as much as you'd like. You might want to think about that. And so there are a number of strategies, and of course we've been working with our calculation software system for years, and this is what our stuff does. But for us, it's fairly academic. This is going to be brand new stuff for a lot of the for a lot of the financial professionals out there.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Remember, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always consult your tax advisor, legal counsel, or your broker-dealer compliance officer. Miss an episode? Just hop out to our video archives. And remember, you could be wiser as an educated advisor. I'm Steve Savant. We'll see you tomorrow.